Introduction. The Vietnam War stands as one of the most profound and intricate conflicts of the 20th century, leaving an indelible mark on global history. Delving into the depths of this multifaceted saga reveals the critical importance of understanding its historical context. This documentary embarks on a comprehensive journey through the tumultuous landscape of the Vietnam War, offering an in-depth exploration of its origins, progression, international impact, and lasting legacy. Historical background. To truly grasp the Vietnam War's complexities, one must trace its roots back through a history of colonial rule and unwavering resistance. Vietnam's quest for independence was intricately interwoven with the emergence of communist ideals and fervent nationalism. The division of the nation into North and South Vietnam created a deep-seated political and ideological divide that would eventually erupt into full-scale conflict. Causes of the Vietnam War. Beyond its geographical boundaries, the Vietnam War was a battlefield of competing ideologies. The ideological clash between capitalism and communism set the stage for a confrontation that reached far beyond Vietnam's borders. The intricate dance of Cold War dynamics, with the United States and the Soviet Union at the forefront, combined with the domino theory and containment policy, forged an environment conducive to conflict, escalation and American involvement. The early phases of American involvement in Vietnam were characterized by support for South Vietnam. However, it was the Gulf of Tonkin incident that served as a pivotal moment, propelling the United States deeper into the conflict. With an influx of U.S. troops, military strategies evolved in an attempt to counter the elusive Viet Cong and their unconventional tactics. This marked the beginning of a prolonged and intricate engagement. The U.S. military's initial strategy was centered around a conventional warfare mindset. American forces aimed to engage the enemy in open combat, utilizing their superior firepower and technology. However, they soon encountered a formidable adversary in the form of the Viet Cong, who employed guerrilla warfare tactics. This approach was characterized by hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, and the use of intricate tunnel systems that enabled them to disappear into the terrain at a moment's notice. Guerrilla warfare and tactics. Central to North Vietnam's strategy was the Viet Cong, a formidable guerrilla force employing ingenious tactics that defied conventional warfare norms. The Viet Cong's ability to blend in with the local population and strike swiftly before melting away into the jungles or tunnels presented a unique challenge to the U.S. military. The intricate tunnel systems they meticulously constructed stood as a testament to their resourcefulness and determination. These tunnels not only served as hiding spots but also as communication routes and supply lines, allowing the Viet Cong to maintain their resilience and mobility. The U.S. military, accustomed to conventional warfare, faced unparalleled challenges in adapting to guerrilla tactics. Their strategies needed a fundamental shift, one that required a more nuanced understanding of the terrain, the enemy's tactics, and a greater reliance on intelligence gathering. This shift led to the development of specialized units and counterinsurgency tactics, such as the search and destroy missions, aimed at disrupting Viet Cong operations and destroying their bases. Home front and anti-war movement. While battles raged on in Southeast Asia, a fierce battle of a different kind unfolded on American soil. A groundswell of opposition to the war gained momentum, manifesting through protests, draft resistance, and a profound cultural shift. The anti-war movement became a defining feature of the era, reshaping societal norms and underscoring the power of dissent. The tragic events of the Kent State shootings served as a stark reminder of the tension between an increasingly restless society and the established order. The anti-war movement in the United States was multifaceted, driven by a range of factors. Many questioned the legitimacy of American involvement in a distant conflict, especially as the human cost became increasingly evident. The draft, which disproportionately affected lower-income and minority communities, further fueled resentment and opposition. Images of the war's brutality, transmitted through television screens and newspapers, heightened public outrage and galvanized anti-war sentiments. As the movement gained momentum, it drew support from a diverse array of groups, including students, intellectuals, civil rights activists, and religious leaders. Protests ranged from peaceful demonstrations to more confrontational acts, such as sit-ins and draft card burnings. These protests were not confined to the United States. They reverberated around the world, creating an international dialogue on the morality and necessity of the war. International repercussions. Beyond its immediate theater, the Vietnam War reverberated across the global stage. Cold War dynamics played out prominently, with the conflict emerging as a symbolic arena for the ideological struggle between the superpowers. The Soviet Union and China provided crucial support to North Vietnam, intensifying the conflict and transforming the region into a proxy battleground. Neighboring countries in Southeast Asia felt the tremors of the war, experiencing their own upheavals and transformations. The international implications of the Vietnam War were profound. The conflict epitomized the larger struggle between the Western capitalist bloc led by the United States and the Eastern Communist bloc led by the Soviet Union. The United States viewed the war as a crucial front in the battle against the spread of communism, aiming to prevent the domino effect, the idea that if one country fell to communism, others in the region would follow suit. The Soviet Union and China saw Vietnam as an opportunity to challenge American hegemony and advance their own interests. They provided military and economic assistance to North Vietnam, further escalating the conflict and turning it into a global power struggle. The war's impact extended beyond Southeast Asia, influencing international relations and shaping the Cold War narrative. The Tet Offensive. The pivotal year of 1968 witnessed the Tet Offensive, a meticulously planned and executed campaign by North Vietnamese forces. This offensive shattered prevailing narratives and catalyzed a shift in public perception. The role of media became evident as stark images and accounts of the war were broadcast into living rooms, fundamentally altering how people viewed the conflict. The Tet Offensive, launched during the Vietnamese New Year, was a coordinated series of attacks on more than 100 cities and towns across South Vietnam. It was a daring move by North Vietnam, aimed at destabilizing the South Vietnamese government and demoralizing U.S. and South Vietnamese forces. While the offensive ultimately resulted in a military defeat for the North Vietnamese, it had a profound psychological impact. The media played a pivotal role in shaping public perception of the Tet Offensive. Journalists on the ground captured the intensity and brutality of the fighting, broadcasting images of urban warfare, civilian casualties, and the destruction of cultural heritage sites. The stark contrast between official government statements and the grim reality on the ground eroded public trust in the war effort and fueled anti-war sentiments. The Tet Offensive marked a turning point in the war, prompting a reassessment of U.S. strategy and objectives. It exposed the gap between official narratives and the realities of the conflict, leading to a growing disillusionment among the American public. As the war continued to escalate, the Tet Offensive underscored the need for a new approach and paved the way for future negotiations. Nixon's Vietnamization and end of the war. As the war entered a new phase, the Nixon administration introduced the policy of Vietnamization, aiming to transfer combat responsibilities to South Vietnamese forces. The Paris Peace Accords and the subsequent withdrawal of U.S. troops marked the beginning of the end The fall of Saigon in 1975 signaled a somber conclusion, leading to the reunification of Vietnam under communist rule. Vietnamization was a strategy devised by the Nixon administration to gradually reduce American involvement in the war while increasing the combat capabilities of the South Vietnamese military. The goal was to enable South Vietnam to take on a more active role in defending itself against the North Vietnamese forces. This strategy was accompanied by secret negotiations with North Vietnam, facilitated by National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger. The Paris Peace Accords, signed in 1973, signaled a temporary halt in the fighting and the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Vietnam. However, the peace agreement did not result in a lasting resolution, as fighting between North and South Vietnam continued. The fall of Saigon in 1975 marked the culmination of North Vietnam's military campaign and the reunification of the country under communist control. The end of the Vietnam War was accompanied by scenes of chaos and desperation, as South Vietnamese civilians and U.S. Embassy personnel scrambled to evacuate the country. The war's conclusion was a deeply poignant moment, marked by the realization that the sacrifices made and the lives lost had not led to a decisive victory. The war's legacy would continue to reverberate for years to come, influencing foreign policy decisions and shaping the collective memory of a generation. Legacy and impact. The legacy of the Vietnam War is profound and far-reaching, characterized by immeasurable human suffering, civilian casualties, and enduring trauma. The environmental and cultural devastation inflicted upon Vietnam serves as a haunting reminder of the dire consequences of armed conflict. Amid the tragedy emerged invaluable lessons, prompting deep historical reflection on the intricate nature of ideological confrontations, the intricacies of proxy wars, and the critical importance of diplomacy. The human cost of the Vietnam War was staggering. Millions of lives were lost on both sides, and countless others were left physically and emotionally scarred. The war's impact extended beyond the battlefield, leading to the displacement of communities, the destruction of infrastructure, and long-term health effects resulting from the use of Agent Orange, a herbicide used by the U.S. military. One of the most tragic aspects of the Vietnam War was the toll it took on civilians. The indiscriminate nature of modern warfare led to the deaths of innocent men, women, and children caught in the crossfire. Villages were destroyed, families were torn apart, and entire generations were marked by the trauma of war. The war's legacy of suffering continues to be felt by those who lived through it and their descendants. The environmental consequences of the war were equally devastating. The widespread use of herbicides like Agent Orange not only caused immediate harm to humans but also led to long-term ecological damage. Forests were defoliated, rivers were polluted, and agricultural land was rendered unusable. The environmental legacy of the war serves as a somber reminder of the interconnectedness of human conflict and the natural world. The cultural impact of the Vietnam War was profound, both within Vietnam and around the world. The war disrupted traditional ways of life, leading to the displacement of communities and the loss of cultural heritage. Ancient temples, historical sites, and cultural artifacts were destroyed, robbing future generations of a tangible connection to their past. The war's impact on art, literature, and cinema also left a lasting imprint, shaping creative expressions of the era's turmoil and reflecting the broader societal shifts. Conclusion. In conclusion, the Vietnam War is a complex tapestry woven from threads that span continents, ideologies, and generations. Its echoes continue to resonate, urging us to understand the historical nuances that led to its inception and eventual resolution. In navigating today's complex global landscape, The enduring significance of studying the Vietnam War lies in the pursuit of a more peaceful and empathetic future. As we unearth the narratives of conflict, we also uncover stories of human resilience, unity, and the unwavering pursuit of understanding. This profound exploration of historical foundations, ideological confrontations, military strategies, and lasting impacts sheds light on the intricate interplay of forces that shape history's course. The Vietnam War serves as a constant reminder of the need for empathy, diplomacy, and international cooperation in the face of adversity. As we delve into its depths, we embark on a transformative journey that not only unveils the stories of the past but also inspires a collective commitment to forging a better world for generations to come.